Now, apart from the law, in the light of all this sin that he's described, all this idolatry that he's described in the previous 2.5 chapters, the righteousness of God has been made known, to which the law and the prophets testify. So the first thing that Paul sets forth, then, is the revelation of God's righteousness in its relationship to the Old Testament. Now, second, he sets forth the availability of God's righteousness, this righteousness of which he has been speaking. He sets forth the availability of God's righteousness to all human beings without racial distinction, but on condition of faith. Let me repeat that. He sets forth the availability of God's righteousness to all human beings without racial distinction, but on condition of faith. Verses 22 and 23. Now start again so we get the flow in 21. But now, apart from the law, the righteousness of God has been made known, to which the law and the prophets testify. This righteousness, which has now been made known in a fresh way, this righteousness is given through faith in Jesus Christ to all who believe. So it's made on condition of faith. But to all who believe, there is no difference between Jew and Gentile, for all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. In other words, it is this set of alls that connect this paragraph with the previous 2.5 chapters. The previous 2.5 chapters have argued at great length and in immaculate detail that all need this righteousness. We're all guilty before God, some with more or less social disapproval or approval, some passing for good in our world. But by God's standards, God's holiness, he sees our rebellion, and we are all guilty before him. But now, there's a righteousness from God that meets our need. It can be our righteousness. And it's open to Jew and Gentile alike on condition of faith. That's the whole argument. Do you see, the old covenant was structured for the Israelites. Now, God presents himself as sovereign over all the nations in the Old Testament in any case. God still says, for any nation, anywhere, at any time and place, righteousness exalts a nation, but sin is a reproach to any people. That's why the God of Israel in the Old Testament can nevertheless hold Babylon to account. He can hold the Assyrians to account. In the New Testament, he can call Rome to account. Today, he holds America to account. He holds China to account. He's still the sovereign Lord who holds all to account. But nevertheless, the focus of that agreement he wrote, that special agreement with Abraham, when he wrote his own agreement, and when there was a special agreement with Moses and the people as a nation, it was still focused then on this subset of humanity that today we call the Jews, the ancient Hebrews, the Israelites. But now, we're told, this righteousness from God that is in some ways detached from that old covenant, that has now come in the terms of a new covenant, this righteousness from God is given through faith in Jesus Christ. It's not given on the old covenant grounds where you were supposed to be born into the nation or adopted into the nation in some sense. And then you had to sign on to observe the terms of that old covenant. No, it's given through faith in Jesus Christ. To all who have faith in Jesus Christ, for there is no difference between Jew and Gentile, all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. In other words, the grace is extended as far as the need. And the need is everywhere, Jew and Gentile alike. You know, one of the wonderful things about the final revelation of the Bible is that it pictures around the throne of God on the last day men and women from every language and ethnicity and nation. Millions of them. Not just Jews and Gentiles. On that last day around the throne, there'll be lots of Chinese, Hutus, Tutsis, Serbs, Russians. Oh, they're all Jews and Gentiles in some sense. Yes, I understand that. But now you can nail them down. Different colors, different sense of humor, different languages, different ethnicities. God draws out his people from all of those nations. And Christians who travel discover that wherever they go, they will find Christians in amazing places. I've been in Papua New Guinea. Brothers and sisters in Christ who a generation and a half ago would have been cannibals in little mud huts in the jungle. Or in Hong Kong, what a spectacular city with such a mix of Gucci and Saks Fifth Avenue, 2 blocks over an open meat market. Such a colorful array of people. Christians from that lot too. And on and on and on all around the world. Africans, Asians, Europeans, even some Americans. All around the throne on that last day because under the terms of this new covenant, God has made this righteousness that we need available to all who believe. For all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God.